Hello everyone, I'm Brendan and this is my entrepreneurial guide to franchising. Today we'll be talking to a very special boy, has the same name as me, Brendan Bond. He actually goes to Endeavour College and I believe they've been looking at franchising, so why don't we welcome him now? Hello Brendan, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good.
It's good to hear. So I hear you've been looking at franchising, could you tell me a bit more about that?
I'd be happy to tell you more. There's a lot that I could tell you. I've learned quite a bit.
Nice. I was wondering, could you please give me your definition of franchising?
Certainly. A simple definition of franchising in my own words is: franchising is a common and popular business model that is adopted by many business owners around the world. Franchising is an attractive business opportunity due to the multiple advantages that are accompanied into while buying a franchise. A franchise consists of two primary involved parties. These are the franchisee and the franchisor. The franchisee is the person who buys into the franchise. The franchisor is the person who owns the company. The franchisor is selling their license/trademark to the people who are interested in buying the franchise, aka the franchisee. Franchises are common in today's society and are used every day. Franchisors provide services, retail and supplies.
For the next question, Brendan, as I understand, there is multiple types of franchises, aren't there? There's not just one. Could you tell me a little bit more about how many franchises there are?
Yeah, you're right. There are multiple franchises that exist in the market today. There are three main types of franchises. These are the business format, product distribution, and management franchising. Business format is the most common franchise around the world and is mainly utilized in fast food restaurants or any other business that requires continuity. All stores in the business format are carbon copies of each other, and the franchisee buys the license from the franchisor, meaning that the franchisee buys a strict outline to adhere to for the franchisor's guidelines on how to run the business. Due to the continuity and carbon copy nature of this business format, many of the companies have hundreds of franchises around the world. For example, McDonald's has over 36,000 franchises worldwide. The second type of franchising is product distribution, and as the name suggests, it is the selling and distribution of products. This form of franchise is when an owner of their own business sells a product as a part of a franchisee agreement. An example of this is a bar selling Heineken beer. This is the form of franchising that grants the most freedom to the business owner because they don't have to adhere to franchisee restrictions. However, in order for the bar to serve Heineken, they have to pay elevated fees to stock it. The final type of franchising is manufacturing franchises. This is when people buy the rights from a company to produce their product. For example, someone could buy to make Wrangler jeans, and they make the jeans in the factory and then sell it with the license as Wrangler. But they also have to give some profits to the original Wrangler owner.
Brendan, thank you for informing us about the different types of franchises. Now, could you please give me some examples of where these franchises can be seen in the real world?
Yeah, there's lots of examples everywhere in society.
Yeah, I know there's lots of them.
The example of franchising in the real world is that multiple industries that make up the business market utilize the franchise format. Franchises are everywhere, from the places where you buy your clothes, hardware needs, coffee, food, fuel, services, etc. The most common form of franchising in Australia are fast food restaurants, due to the demand for the product and the continuity, aka creating carbon copies of each store, which is easy to do so with these restaurants. These restaurants include Hungry Jack's, Pizza Hut and McDonald's. There are also other franchises that supply services like Jim's Mowing, which is also an Australian handyman service. On the Run also provides services with providing most Australians with fuel and other needs. Management franchises are also used in Australia, with an example of LJ Hooker, who helps with real estate, and also there's other people like product distribution franchising, which are examples like Adidas, Heineken and iPhones, who sell their products in other people's businesses.
With the style of business with a franchise, I understand that there's multiple advantages and disadvantages to owning one. Could you start by telling me the advantages?
Sure, there is definite advantages in owning a franchise. There are multiple advantages of franchising. The fundamental factor that makes franchises so appealing are the advantages that are coupled with the format of the business. Arguably the biggest advantage of entering the market as a franchisee is the reduced level of risk. The Australian Bureau of Statistics indicates that around 60% of all independent small businesses fail within 3 years of its operation. which when compared to the failure rate of roughly 10% for franchises indicates that there is reassurance and security with the decision to buy into a franchise. Also, the service and product has been previously tested in the market, therefore increasing the reassurance for the franchise. The franchisee is also given a proven business plan, which includes the product, services, supplies and facilities, staff training, franchisee training, and marketing. These factors included in the business model result in the franchisee having a complete understanding of the company that they have invested in and creates a continuity throughout all the stores. A massive advantage of buying into a franchise is the marketing and advertising that is provided by the company. These can include marketing campaigns like TV advertising, social media, posters, public transport flyers, etc. Marketing is a crucial tool needed to succeed in any business, and that's why this is so useful in a franchise. An additional benefit for the franchisee is that anyone can buy into a franchise with no previous knowledge or training in this type of business. As stated before, all training is supplied by the franchisor to prepare the franchisee to represent them on the market. Acquiring the required funds to establish the business is much easier in a franchise as opposed to an independent business, because banks recognize that franchises are more reliable and credible companies that are more likely to succeed and therefore pay back the investment. Lastly, the convenience and simplicity for starting up the franchise is much easier because of the method of creating the business is laid out by the franchisor for the franchisee to adopt and employ. This startup method was explained by Kate Julia, a franchising expert, with the statement, "Franchises offer the opportunity to own a small business without reinventing the wheel."
Now that you told us about the good things about franchising and the advantages, let's hear about the bad, because I understand it's not all rainbows in the franchising world.
You're very correct there. It's not all rainbows. There's a lot that can go wrong. A major disadvantage is the cost involved with franchising. The franchisee must pay startup fees. These costs will fluctuate depending on the different markets you enter. For example, retail, fast food, etc. This is due to the required cost for facilities. These setup costs can include inventories, fit-outs, staff and ownership training, legal advisory, and accounting assistance. These setup costs can range from $20,000 to $300,000. However, after setup costs are paid, there are ongoing fees that must be supplied to the franchisor for the lifespan of the franchise's business. These ongoing fees include royalty fees, marketing and advertising levy, services like IT, cleaning and maintenance, training fees, and various other fees. These costs can total as high as $10,000 per month. Secondly, there is a limited amount of freedom that a franchisee has due to the harsh restrictions set in place by the franchisor. While the franchisee signs and agrees upon these regulations that limit their creative control on the business, it can be very disheartening to have little control over what they own, and it's their own business. However, these regulations are set in place to create continuity between all franchise stores to represent the brand in the best possible way. In the franchise business, it may be hard to stand out amongst other locations that are part of the same franchise program, aka competition. Also, the company may damage their brand, which in turn reduces the reputation of the franchise and affects all franchisees. If a franchise company goes out of business, it leaves all franchisees without employment and sometimes unable to pay back their investment. A key disadvantage that does deter people from buying into a franchise is that a percentage of the sales and profits are taken by the franchisor every paycheck. In the end, the franchisor is the one who benefits the most out of the franchise business agreement.
Thank you very much for coming in, Brendan. You've really taught everyone at home quite a lot about franchising, because I'm sure people think they know a lot, but there's actually a lot to it that more that meets the eye. I think you've done really good telling everyone for a Year 11 student. You've learnt a lot, and thank you for coming in. You're really good looking, and I really like your name. Thanks, mate.
Been my pleasure, mate. Been my pleasure.
My pleasure.